museum back to life.
You know, people sit out on the front porch hoping people will come by.
Go forth and do good.
It's insane. I have the most understanding wife in the world.
I treat everybody the same thing.
Oh, that's the other thing I love about Marietta. It's like a melting pot.
You are listening to Marietta Stories. Each week, veteran podcaster Bill Nowicki brings you the heartwarming, interesting, and fun stories from the people that make the community of Marietta, Georgia, a place to call home. Here's your host, Bill Nowicki.
What was it like here?
Segregated, but it was nice.
Welcome. I am Bill Nowicki, and that is Rodney Gullatte. And Rodney is talking about Lemon Street School, an all-black school he attended starting in 1957. I want to let you know about a basketball tournament that is coming to Marietta in December, which will honor the Lemon Street School and basketball team. But this episode is a lot more than the story of a basketball tournament. As we all know and were told, all black schools needed to integrate to reach equality. But I did not understand what the school meant to the black community in Marietta. It is obvious from listening to the story of Rodney Gullatte and his friend George Miller that the Lemon Street School was a place of community and pride for the African Americans that lived both here in Marietta and throughout the county. But let's talk a little bit more about Lemon Street schools. The Lemon Street Grammar School was opened in 1894. The original was a wooden structure and was funded by the Marietta School Board and designed to educate Negro students from Marietta and around Cobb County. The high school was built nearby in 1930. Professor M.J. Woods became principal of both schools in 1929 and led the high school until 1962. Lemon Street and Marietta High Schools merged in 1967, and the Lemon Street building was demolished, and according to Rodney, much of that history was destroyed. Let's first hear from Mr. Rodney Gullatte and his reminiscing about Lemon Street School.
Here at Lemon Street, we was all family. This is my history classroom. Mr. Jackson, we had some of the best teachers you ever wanted to have. Like a lot of kids used to do, they just pass them on. No, you'll be 21 years old before you come out of this school. So, they really educated us back then.
Yeah, why do you think it's important to relive this Lemon Street School and bring it back up for people to know about?
Well, it's a shame. You shouldn't have to relive it. You shouldn't have to bring it up. They should have never destroyed the history. They should have kept it. When they closed the school down, I wasn't here. I was off in school and then off in the military. They destroyed a lot of stuff. They just didn't care. The Board of Education had everything. We had two big trophy cases, and I don't see those trophies today. I go to Marietta High and I see some of them, but I don't see them. For you to bring up history after all these years, you're not going to find it. And that was objective to me. When I look at this, that's what they wanted. We have to dig for it now.
Why do you think it's important for people in the community to experience this?
Well, because the community has changed. The community I grew up with no longer, exists. Right up over here, that's Fort Hill Project. That's why when I came here in '57, that's where I grew up until '63. We moved up on the hill up there. But I grew up in these projects right here, and mostly everybody did. So
in came Mr. George Miller and Mr. Nicholas Estes. Now, George, tell me, this was the history class?
This was Mr. Scott, the history teacher.
And Mr. Jackson.
What was Mr. Scott like?
Oh, man. Let me tell you, I can tell you some things about Mr. Scott. When we come in, those two boards, they would be loaded. He'd have all his notes and stuff up there on those two boards, right? And we come in and he'd speak, and he'd tell us he was probably one of the hardest teachers here at Lemon Street at the time.
Yeah, one of the quietest rooms. You
could hear a rat piss on cotton, as they say, in his classroom. And he'd come in and have that stuff together, and you would get started, and he would start talking. And I never will forget, he taught us about inductive and deductive reasoning.
I've taught that in my geometry class.
Right, and so he used to tell, and I never will forget, we were taking an exam. Bill Adams, Asa Bryant.
It had to be you and Ken, too.
And then myself, and then your brother Ken. And he was on the board writing some more questions down for the exam. He didn't even turn around. He said, I see you with that. And we all threw copies. we all threw our little ponies up in the air. You know, we were trying to, because he was tough. But I never will forget when we were getting ready to graduate. Well, the main building was right here. And we were lining up. We were 12-1. They had 12-1, 12-2, 12-3, 12-4. We were over there lining up. Mr. Scott came in the gym, and he said, got the mic, he made the announcement. Everybody from 12-1, we were supposed to have been the quote-unquote better students. Everybody from 12-1, you need to come to my class and see me because you all flunked the final exam. Ain't nobody marching.
I remember that.
We were embarrassed. We didn't know what to do. But we had to come back and take that exam again. But Mr. Scott did not play. He did, but you know what though? Everybody loved him.
And still today.
Yeah, even to the day. I think he's about, let me see, my mom is 94. I think he's about 93, 94
He's
years old.
still alive?
Yes. And still got all this wit about him.
Yeah.
He still takes care of himself, so he's still in good shape.
Have you seen him lately?
Oh yeah, I saw him not too long ago.
You call him by his first name? You call him Mr. Scott?
I call him Mr. Scott.
All our teachers, we said Mr. Mrs. You don't.
Yeah.
Even as adults?
No.
Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker. I just learned his first name when we had that thing up there 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't even know his first name.
No, you didn't know. Mr. Scott.
Wow.
I knew his first name because I stayed right here on Lemon Street, and Rodney stayed 2 houses down.
I'm up. I'm going up to here.
You were going up Lemon Street, and then Shepherd goes up. Mm-hmm. They call it Wood Drive now, named after Mr. Woods, who was the principal over at the school. And Mr. Scott stayed right there. So, I mean, it was like he was in the neighborhood.
What do you think it's going to feel like when you see those Lemon Street players have the uniforms of Lemon?
Probably be very emotional.
Why do you say that?
Let me tell you, Lemon Street was a
family.
Yeah, it was a family. I was in the band, and we had a band director named Mr. Stubbs. Cleopa Stubbs came from Florida A&M University, right there in Tallahassee. And he came here. We had a little raggedy-tack band. When he got through with us, we were probably the top band in the state. I graduated in 65. The situation in 65, we were all black school, right? They used to have the North Georgia Fair would come here in September. We would normally march in the fair parade. After Leo Stubbs got here, we led the fair parade. Some of the stuff that he taught us, like even during halftime for a football game, and this was the original football field before they put these buildings here. He would tell us, if somebody make a wrong step, 130 of you better make the same step at the same time. When we would show up at game time, getting ready to perform, and you know how you coming down and getting ready to go into school, and people would have their jackets and stuff open. He would tell us, he said, once you put that uniform on, it's showtime. when we performed at halftime, nobody needs to be going to get anything from the concession. He said, if you're doing your job, everybody would be watching what you're doing on that field. He got us to that point, to where during halftime, everybody was there watching to see what we would do, how we were gonna do it, and they would go get the hot dogs and stuff the third quarter.
Why do you think you're going to get emotional when you see those uniforms again?
Because everybody loved this school. They loved the teams, they loved the band, they just loved everything about it. Like he said, it was a family. Yeah. You come here on Friday night, we had a hard time getting in our own game because the white people, and they would get there early to make sure they had a seat. When the band practiced, we had more people watching the band practice that we would have at a game. Talking about Stubbs, one thing Stubbs did, I'll never forget. When he first got here, he changed the whole attitude. Number one, your dress had to be immaculate, even going to class. If you were a band student, your grades had to be above average in order for you to perform. He put all that into us. And he would come around doing school, English teacher. I see you got Miller in there. How's he doing? What is his grade?
Oh, he's flunking.
What is it? What is his average? You know, I mean, he checked with everybody. He checked with everybody. He checked on everybody. And he believed in perfection. We would practice and it would get dark and we would think, okay, we're getting ready to go now. We can go home. Cleopas would say, hold on. He'd run over to one of the boxes, turn a key, and the lights come on. And he used to tell us something that I kind of still goes with me. He said, that myth they tell you about practice makes perfect, he said, that's a lie. Perfect practice makes perfect. On Friday nights after the game, when we come back, y'all know we had what they call a point a minute offense. We beat, who was that, 100 and something to?
Linwood Park.
Yeah, Linwood Park. We beat them 100 and something to 7, something like that. We had a defense that would go just about the whole season without anybody crossing our 50-yard line. When we would go off and play, all these were projects around here at the time, right? When we would go off and play, when we come back, they would stop the bus down by the church down here. We get off the bus, 1 o'clock in the morning, get in the street, police come, they would lead us on down the street, and we would march from the church down to the school, down here to the school. And you know what? You would think that people would be mad. They would come to the door, they said, we won. We won. I mean, it was just that kind of a thing. You know, everybody was involved in it.
I hope we get to feel some of that during the basketball tournament. Yeah, let's hear about it, Nicholas. What have we got?
So, and I'm going to introduce, this is Mondre. Mondre Allen is kind of been our tournament director. Okay. We ran an event at Alatoona High School, the Lake City Classic. So when we came over here, in our first year, Rodney came and spoke to our team, and we did a game that year. But we had been wanting to do a tournament, so what we decided was we wanted to do a tournament to represent Lemon Street. And that during that tournament, our goal as a program was to unite and inspire our community. And George, just hearing that emotion in your voice as you're sharing those stories, man, it means a lot, because it really gives that feel of we really are doing what it is that we're really wanting to do. And that is unite and inspire this community. We want to honor that history that Lemon Street had and we want to honor this community and everything that was going on here. We wanted to put together this awesome tournament, this awesome event where we're going to have some of the best teams in the state and around the country, mostly around the state this year, especially with the COVID situation going on. But we wanted to create this great basketball event, and through that event, we also wanted to honor Lemon Street and what Lemon Street meant to this community. As you can hear, as George shares his stories, you can just hear what it meant to these folks around here. And so we just hope that what we do honors you all and what Lemon Street meant to this community, and our goal is to just make you guys proud. Because we want to honor our past, but we also want to, move forward in our future and remember that we're a part of that. Right. We're a part of that. We're setting the tone for the next generation, just to keep those stories around and to not miss what an awesome thing that was going on.
What's the dates and how can people help?
December 19th, 21st, and 22nd is when we will be holding our event.
It's going to be at the high school?
Yeah, so we'll actually have 2 gyms going. We're going to have games at the high school and the old middle school gym. So we'll be going, we've got about 25, 28 teams. Really? And so we'll have about 7 or 8 games at each gym throughout the day on each of those days. And I'm going to let Mondre tell you a little bit, too, about the teams that we have and the players that we have coming.
You guys have a website or all that kind of stuff? So if somebody wants to help out, volunteer.
Yeah, so we've got Lemon Street. Our Lemon Street Classic is all of our social media, and I believe the street is just ST. But on our website, it's lemonstreetclassic.com. And we also are developing, I was meeting with our developer the other night, we have a Lemon Street Classic app. Come about mid-November, you'll be able to download that app and access all of the information related to the tournament. And on that app and in our social media, we're going to be sharing the stories that we're hearing here today. So that's why Mondre's come. We're going to film. We're going to capture these moments on film, and we want to share those stories as part of what we're talking about. So we're going to promote our event, but we also want to promote all the stories that we're hearing today, and we want to do more. Like my understanding is this across the street was the old elementary school. That they're going to renovate that. The kids that meet here will meet over there. This will all be torn down, and a replica of the old Lemon Street High School will be built. And in that building, there will be a museum for Lemon Street. But I wanted to tell you, in our AD's office, sitting there right now, waiting to go into that museum, in a big shadow box, is Ben Wilkins. There's like a Letterman's jacket sitting in there.
I appreciate you guys telling me your story. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks to Rodney Gullatte, George Miller, and Nicholas Estes for joining me, Bill Nowicki, on Marietta Stories. Go to Lemon Street Classic, that's spelt just like it sounds, .com, to learn more about the December 19th, 21st, and 22nd basketball tournament honoring Lemon Street. And you can also follow them on social media, Lemon Street Classic, except ST. Don't spell that street. This is Bill Nowicki saying thank you. Tell a couple friends about Marietta Stories and let me know what you think. Bill at mariettastories.com.